how can, if he was a violent individual, how can this religion still the fastest growing religion in the world?
Subhanallah.
Let's think of that for a minute.
Subhanallah.
The more the media, the more the propaganda they're trying to humiliate and put down Islam, the more people come to Islam.
Into Islam, because they get to understand.
They find the
people
truth.
Are curious that why is this religion like this? Why is this religion portrayed like this in the media? So they actually go back to the source.
Exactly.
Then
when you go back to the source, and the problem is that, a lot of, the media, they do not want people to go to the source. Because Quran is the truth. Allah says, Inna hadha al-Quran yahdi lillati hiya aqwam wa yubashir lil-mu'minina ladina ya'maluna as-salihat anna lahum ajran kabira. Allah says, Inna hadha al-Quran, this Quran we're talking about, yahdi lillati hiya aqwam. It guides those that want to be upright. It guides those that want to be firm. It guides those that want to be guided. So if you go to the Quran is light. It would open your eyes. Quran is the truth. Quran is al-Furqan. It's something that, it is a criterion between the truth and falsehood. So if you're looking for, so when people read it, like, wow, what kind of book is this?
Kind of book
this is not. This is beyond human comprehension.
Subhanallah.
So
before they know it, they're like, Subhanallah.
There's nobody who will read the Quran with an open heart, open mind, that will not be astonished and fascinated.
Subhanallah.
Because the Quran, it gravitates one.
Subhanallah.
It's like a magnetic force.
Subhanallah.
It attracts you to it, pulls you to it. Because it's a book from the Most High.
From the Most High, it's a challenge. Sorry, I'm just going to bring you more, maybe you can emphasize more about the Quran.
No.
We find a lot of people memorize this Quran cover to cover, page to page.
No.
I want you to emphasize the importance of why people need to go back to read this book, even the non-Muslims, just to open this book.
Allah said, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ
Subhanallah.
وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ غَيْرِ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا.
Subhanallah.
Allah says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. Don't you guys ponder? Don't you guys reflect? Don't you guys think about the Quran? This is not like you're reading Shakespeare or you're reading Othello. This is a book of comprehension, a book that you must reflect on. When Allah talks in the Quran, He always says, وَمَا يَذَكَّرُ إِلَّا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. You will not understand, you will not comprehend, except if you're a person of intellect, if you're a person of reasoning, if you're a person of logic, if you're a person that contemplates and reflects. That's why a wise man says, he says, التفكر ساعة خير من عبادة السنة. He says to ponder, to reflect for 1 hour is better than to worship Allah for 1 year without contemplating and reflecting.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
If this is our book, this is our constitution, this is our guidance. Quran is the haqq, is the truth, is a book of guidance, is the no. Quran is shifa.
It's a mercy.
Quran is rahmah, is mercy. Quran is a cure for all disease.
Subhanallah.
So you memorize the Quran, mashallah, that's a great thing. That's a great virtue. You're going to be among the Kiram and Barara, among the honorable scribes. That's a high honor. But you have to understand what you memorize.
Subhanallah.
You don't want to be just a walking Quran.
Yeah.
You want the Quran, you want people to see Quran in your ways of life. You want people to see you and to see the light of the Quran. They see you as an example of the Quran.
Subhanallah.
Because this, Allah says, Alif Lam Mim, Dhalika al-Kitabu la rayba fi hudan. Alif says, Dhalika al-Kitab, this book that we're talking about, la rayba fi, there's no doubt in it. There's no ambiguity in it. There's no contradiction in it. Hudan lil muttaqin. And it's a guidance for those that are God conscious, those that have the piety of God. So Muslims and non-Muslims, you want to be guided or you want to find out about the religion, go to the source. And especially for us Muslims, you just don't want to be like a donkey that's carrying a lot of load, but doesn't know what it's carrying.
Doesn't know what it's carrying.
That's an ayah in the Quran.
Yeah.
So you want to know the meaning, because when you know the meaning, your life will be better. You will become a better Muslim. You don't want to read the Quran, you don't want to memorize the Quran and live a life that contradicts.
Absolutely.
That's why when they asked Aisha, radiallahu anha, may Allah be pleased with her, they said, what's the character of the Prophet? He says, khuluquhu al-Quran. It's characteristics, his way of life, his mannerism, his etiquette, his moral disposition. Is the Quran.
Is the Quran itself. So that's like a practical
example of the Quran. So that's what Muslims should be. And the Sahabas, they would not memorize an ayah. They would not memorize one verse of the Quran or one ayah of the Quran without, when they know the meaning of it, without implementing it before going and memorizing another one.
Subhanallah.
All of us today, we memorize many ajza. I memorize 5 Jews, 10 Jews. But how many do we understand? Have we read the tafsir? Have we implemented the lessons, the teachings of this ayah? That's what's affecting us Muslims today. That's why you have Muslims that people cannot go to and ask about the religion, because they see them behaving in a way that contradicts
their own book, their own source.
Yes.
So, subhanallah. Is it because I heard that there's a place where the Prophet himself actually complained to Allah that my people has abandoned the Quran?
Yes. There's an ayah, it says, I don't remember the ayah on top of my head, it says, Allah, the Prophet says, my people have deserted the Quran.
Subhanallah.
They have neglected it, they've left it. They did not read it. We use the Quran we use the Quran now as if, when you have a headache, and you need a Tylenol, you need a Panadol, like a medicinal purpose. We use it for like we use it for like an easy pass. Like when you're in a rush and you need something, oh, that's the Quran. No, the Quran has so many things. It has so many things. The poet says, Allah innamal Quran tis'atun aharufan sa'umbika fi baytin shi'ri bila malal halalun haramun mukamun mutashabbihun bashirun nadhirun izzatun qissatun mathal. The poet says, Allah innamal Quran tis'atun aharufin. It says the Quran is divided into 9 components. It says sa'umbika fi baytin shi'ri bila malal. Let me explain this to you in the form of a song or poem, without mixing anything, clarifying it for you. It says the Quran teaches you about the halal. That's one.
What
is lawful?
What is lawful?
The Quran teaches you about the haram. What is unlawful? Mukamun mutashabihun. Quran teaches you about laws to govern yourself, to govern your family, to govern your society, to govern your community. Mutashabihun. Quran has things that are similar. You ask comparison. It says Quran is bashirun wa nadhirun. Quran gives you glad tidings. If you do good, this is your reward.
Subhanallah.
Bashirun nadhirun. Quran is a warner, is a stern warner. If you disobey,
if you
transgress, if you go beyond boundaries, there's a punishment.
There's a punishment for that.
Is admonition, is a reminder. Izzatun qissatul mathal. And Quran is a book that have stories, but the stories, there's wisdom behind it.
There's wisdom.
It's not just stories. It's not like you're watching Fast and Furious, like you're just watching movies. No, Quran is a story that has wisdom and lessons for you to learn and better your life. And Mathal, Quran has a lot of comparisons, examples. So these are the poet said, these are the 9 things the Quran is. So imagine we take each of them, you take the lawful, the unlawful, the laws, the admonition, the stories and everything, and we ponder and we reflect on them.
We can have a better life.
Of course.
Happy life. Subhanallah, subhanallah.